Welcome everybody to skillcapped's guide for how to play Yone. In this video, you'll learn everything you need to know to skip normals and make your Yone debut in ranked while avoiding that genetic 0-10 power spike. All you need to know is right here, starting with abilities, playstyle, combos, tips and tricks, runes, builds, skill order, and more. So let's get into it. Alright, we covered his abilities in our first impressions video, but we'll quickly go through them again in case you haven't seen that. His passive is simple. Just like Yasuo, he gets double the amount of crit chance from crit items. Secondly, every other auto attack does 50% magic damage instead. To simplify, on average his passive converts 25% of his auto attack damage into magic damage. His Q is exactly like Yasuo's. He stabs in front of him, dealing damage and gaining a stack of Gathering Storm. At 2 stacks, his next Q will instead cause him to dash forward, unleashing a whirlwind knocking everyone up in its path. Lastly, this ability's cooldown shortens as you buy attack speed, once again exactly like Yasuo's Q. His W swings his sword in a cone in front of him. This slash deals a bit of base damage and a percentage of max HP. The neat part is that it splits that damage evenly into physical and magic damage. Hitting an enemy unit also grants Yone a small shield. Hitting an enemy champion doubles the shield size. And hitting multiple enemy champions scales the shield up even further for each champion hit. Lastly, just like his Q, the cooldown goes down as you buy attack speed. His E is the trickiest ability by far. Yone leaves his body behind and dashes forward. After 5 seconds, Yone is forcefully dragged back to his body. Of course, he can reactivate the ability at any time and choose to go back faster. During this time, Yone gets ramping movement speed the longer he stays out of his body. Not only that, but the enemy champions that he hits during this time get a mini Z ult. When Yone goes back to his body, the mark pops, dealing a percentage of the damage Yone dealt while he was in spirit form. This applies to any champion he hits during this time. He can apply the mark to as many champions as he's able to damage. Lastly, his ultimate. After a brief delay, Yone quickly dashes forward. If he collides with an enemy champion, then instead of going the full distance, he'll stop right behind them, knocking them up. If he hits multiple champions along his path, he'll stop behind the last enemy champion hit and bring everyone else with him, knocking them all up. Alright, let's talk playstyle. Yone will actually function very similarly to an assassin for most of the game. He'll be looking to do short burst trades during the laning phase with his E. But he functions much better than your typical assassin with this ability. Generally, when a melee champion goes in, they have to commit hard. But Yone can just dip back out after he's done his damage, never leaving him exposed for counterattacks. Not only that, but his damage is insane, considering how safe he is while doing it. He can 100-0 players if he lands a full rotation on them with his E. That's not to say this doesn't come with its own share of drawbacks though. Yone has very few escape tools. While he does have very safe and reliable trading with his E, if he's caught out, then he's very vulnerable. Almost exactly the same as Zoe is with her R. This assassin playstyle can persist all the way to late game. Once you have 100% crit with 2 items, you should constantly be looking to see if you can E towards an enemy carry and instantly delete them, before zipping back to the safety of your body. That being said, he can also function as a bruiser type champion, much like Yasuo does. This is usually only possible if he's really ahead, and isn't going to be in danger by going into the thick of things, which would normally be bad since he has no escapes. In cases such as these, instead of using your E as a gap closer, you can look to use it mid-fight to instead dodge critical abilities and potentially outplay your opponents. Lastly, don't think that Yone needs to be the aggressor in every situation. Sometimes he will have a hard time finding a good engage. If you're ever in doubt, peeling for your own team with your ultimate is actually very impactful. Typically, the enemy funnels trying to kill your other carries, setting up your otherwise hard to land ultimate quite easily. Alright, so there's a few combos that you're going to need to know to play Yone. First, you need to be aware that Yone's Q has another slight difference from Yasuo. When Yasuo presses his ultimate, he loses all the stacks on his Q and he must restack them. Yone, on the other hand, keeps his stacks. Knowing this, one of Yone's strongest combos is using his ultimate to clump up a bunch of players and then hit confirming them with another knockup afterwards. Next up is Q Flash. Remember, his third Q causes him to dash in a direction, knocking everyone up along the wind's path. You can animation cancel this with your flash, much like Ahri's Charm Flash combo. Notice where the mouse is hovered. Yone presses Q here, chooses his flash direction, and the dash heads toward the initial mouse location. Never underestimate the power of animation canceling. Making your abilities come out faster and give your opponents less time to react is always a surefire way to guarantee that they land. That version of the Q flash is a bit niche though, and you'll likely rarely use it. And that's because you should be using this other version instead. While you can redirect the actual dash by pressing flash immediately, you can also just use Yone's body to get a knockup as well. Basically, if you flash at any point during your dash, you will knock up everyone wherever you landed. This is a great technique for potentially catching people off guard and scoring easy kills. Alright, let's cover the tips and tricks for Yone. There's a whole lot of them, but before we jump into that, we want to make sure you know about the #1 hyper improvement platform for League of Legends, skillcapped. We release over 10 of these premium guides every week on our website, which add to the largest catalog of LoL guides on the internet. We've packaged these into over 100 challenger tailored courses that are exclusive to our subscribers. We also have an improvement guarantee. If you don't significantly improve while using skillcapped, you can claim a full refund. With direct pro coaching and a Smurf live commentary page on top of everything else, you'd be crazy not to check us out right after this. Alright, so diving into the really cool stuff that you can do on Yone, first, a general laning tip is that Yone kind of likes it when his opponents push into him, so we'd recommend giving the push lead more often than not. The reason being here that Yone has crazy good gank follow-up. With his ease gap closer into a third Q, he can close the distance super easily and CC his opponent to set up really easy ganks for his team. Now let's cover some unique interactions Yone has with his E. As you know, Yone has 5 seconds before he's forcefully dragged back to his body. There's a lot of unique interactions in the game based on this, but our favorite one has to be with Zoe's bubble. You see, if Zoe lands her bubble on Yone as he gets drowsy, if he ports back to his body, then the debuff just goes away. Seeing as how Zoe's main defense against melee champions is her bubble, Yone serves as a great lane matchup into Zoe, being able to easily take a trade whenever he wants to. The next weird interaction we found was with Skarner. His E should force Yone back to his body no matter what after 5 seconds. But when Yone is ulted by Skarner, the duration actually extends until after Skarner's ultimate wears off, and then he zooms back. Which led us to believe something similar would happen with Camille and Mordekaiser. If he presses E and is trapped by their ultimates, we thought he'd just wait them out and then dash back. But no, both of their ultimates just force him to stop at their outer edges. His E is definitely a weird ability, and we're sure there's plenty of other wacky interactions out there. Let us know in the comments below if you found any other interesting ones. We're really interested to hear. Now for all the efficiency nerds out there, Yone's E is an excellent tool when buying items. You obviously can't E out of base since you'll just get dragged back. That being said, if you're waiting on some gold for an item, then step out of your fountain, E back towards it, buy your item, and dash back. Of course, that example wasn't done quite properly. You shouldn't stand on the center of fountain since your E has a travel time. Stand on the edge like this to really maximize how much time you're saving by using this trick. And lastly, Yone's Q is a fairly long dash. We highly recommend going into the training tool and practicing which walls you can dash through. He can actually go through some fairly thick walls at certain angles, and having these kinds of tricks in your back pocket might end up saving you one day. Alright, let's wrap this up with the build section. As always, just a small disclaimer. We did test out a ton of builds, but there's no way to know for certain what will be the best build until thousands of players are spamming him every day. For your skill order, you'll want to max Q, then E, then W, and obviously put points into R at 6, 11, and 16. For his rune page, there's two main options that you can choose to run: Press the Attack or Conqueror. Most players will likely default to Conqueror as his main keystone, but we just don't think it suits his playstyle that much. For most of the game, Yone will be looking to go in with his E, look for a burst trade, and then get out. Since he's not going to be in the thick of things too long, Conqueror won't get full value on him. More importantly, it's not like Yone needs Conqueror to do damage, he does plenty without it. That being said, we don't think the difference is massive. If the enemy team is filled with beefy champions as well, then you should definitely be running Conqueror in those games. Now, when you're against some poke heavy lanes such as Syndra, Azir, or Orianna, then we highly recommend Fleet Footwork. The added sustain is quite nice in these matchups. Or if you're against something truly aggressive like Lucian or Quinn in mid or top lane, then you can go all out on defensive setups with Fleet Footwork, Second Wind, and a Doran's Shield for massive sustain. The last bit about runes is that we're aware of Hail of Blades as an option. It felt incredibly lackluster in testing, and Press the Attack just seems like the better aggressive choice over it. As for items, he basically builds the same as Yasuo does. Pick up Berserker Greaves as your first item, then Phantom Dancer or Static Shiv if you're looking to be more aggressive, then go IE and Death Stance. Afterwards, you don't really need any more damage, so pick up situational defensive items based on what you need in that specific game. We also wouldn't ever really recommend building Last Whisper. Thanks to Yone's passive, he shouldn't need it. That being said, if the enemy team has like 3 or 4 tanks and they're just stacking armor, then by all means go ahead and build it. Alright everyone, be sure to check out Skillcapped if you're serious about improving by signing up for a risk-free membership. We look forward to seeing all of your Yone highlights along with what the other pros do once they get their hands on him. Don't forget to drop a sub and a like if you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.